Hey everybody, I am making this video to give you some helpful hints for today's assignment. Before I jump into it, I want to highlight the news that we have at the end of the slides, and that is that this assignment, this dice roller assignment with the second half that we're doing today, is going to count as our test for Scratch. So this is going to go on your SIS as a test grade. Just letting you know, this has a good impact on your grade. And because of that, we're going to take a good amount of time for it so you don't feel rushed or stressed out. So we're going to take today, Tuesday of next week, and Thursday of next week to do this test. And I am making this video to help you out, help you get started. If after watching this video you still feel lost, let me know. I can make additional videos to give you help, or we'll figure it out. We'll go from there. So communicate with me. Let me know what questions you have, or where you're hitting walls or getting snagged, and we'll make it happen so that way you can complete this well. All right, so let's jump back to slide number 4. So first things first, in order to do today's assignment, you need to have done day 36's assignment, which was starting the dice roller, doing the dice roller. You had to make it so that when you click the flag, the dice roll and show a random number, and that the sprite would say what the two dice equal when you add together the two random numbers. So hopefully you've done that. If you haven't, I would just pause this video and go and do that first. But I'm going to move forward assuming that you have done that you've got that set up and ready to roll. Pun intended. Okay. Alrighty, so here it says, today we are going to program an action for each possible dice outcome. So what that means is, as you roll a 1 and a 1 and the dice equal 2, you're going to have the sprite say, whoops, there you go. We're going to have the sprite say something. As you get a 3, then you're going to have the sprite change costumes. As you get a 4, you're going to have the sprite move. As you get a 5, you're going to have it change colors, and so on. It probably looks like a lot, but I'm going to show you a helpful hint that you're probably going to really like. And that it's something that all programmers use, so I probably should have showed you it a long time ago. Alrighty, so I'm going to go into Scratch, and I'm going to show you guys how to do this first one, number 1, or number 2, I guess. Okay, so here inside Scratch, I have my functioning dice roller assignment, right? I hit the green flag, the 2 dice kind of cycle through their different costumes just to make it look like they're rolling, and then they show 2 different numbers, well, 2 random numbers, 4 and 4, and that made the sprite say the total. So I'll do that one more time. All right, 2 and 3, and it says the total, which is 5. Alrighty, so now we want an action to happen based on the outcome from those dice. So today we're going to use something that is very, very common in programming, that if you guys continue further in programming, you will see it repeated a lot. And that is what's called an if-then statement, which I believe is in, yes, Control. So here in Control we have this funky looking block that says if blank then, and it has a space for an action. Now the action that we want to have happen is we want it to say something. So I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to use this very first one. I'm going to just have the sprite say hello for 2 seconds. Okay, sorry, thinking ahead. Anyway, so now we need it to recognize though that if the dice equal 2, then say hello for 2 seconds. So how we'll do that is we're going to use something that is kind of new. I don't think I've showed you guys this yet. You've seen it here though, those green blocks. These are called the operators. So we can actually insert one of these weird hexagonal shapes into this space, and you can see there's a few of them here. There's actually quite a few. Weird. Anyway, all right, so we want to say that if something equals 2, we can change that. Say that if blank equals 2, then say hello. So we want to say if dice 1 and dice 2 added together equal 2. So there's another operator up here that has the plus sign here towards the top. I can drag and drop that there. And now I can actually insert the variables here. So I can go over here to the variables section, and I can select dice 1, and I can select dice 2. And now, how you read this is if dice 1 plus dice 2 equals 2, then say hello for 2 seconds. And honestly, and that will work. But we are missing something. We are missing how do we connect this action to this? How do we trigger these blocks to happen if, like, after it rolls the dice numbers at random? I'm going to repeat that because I don't think I said that earlier. How do we make it so that after the dice roll and select the random numbers, how do we make it so that this then checks, hey, does dice 1 and dice 2 added together equal 2? I'm not going to answer that question for you guys. I'm going to let you figure it out. You should be pretty familiar with how to do it. I think you guys can figure it out. But if you're stumped, obviously email me, give me your ideas, and I'll help you brainstorm and figure it out. Okay, one thing, here's my trick that will make this a lot easier. Now, you might be feeling overwhelmed and going, oh my gosh, I have to do this for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 all the way up to 12. Yeah, but you can also right-click on it, duplicate it, boom. Now you can just make a few changes and say, hey, if this equals 3, then do, the next action. And duplicate that and say, if it equals 4, then do the next action. Programmers do that stuff all the time. They don't build everything from scratch, another pun intended, but they duplicate things. They repeat stuff. That way they don't have to do the same thing over and over and over. They honestly kind of make little hacks along the way, so that way they can build something once and reuse it a ton of times, and it saves them plenty of time. So that's kind of cool. That's a cool thing to keep in mind. If you are liking programming, just know that you can set things up in the future for yourself so that you don't have to do quite as much work. I think that's great. My other tip that I want to give you guys is, if this is a little bit overwhelming and you're like, man, I don't know how to tie things together, and I don't know how to visualize or see how to make it so that this little character does all those actions, I would encourage you to write it down on paper. Write down what you know. You write down the things that you know need to happen. You know that the outcome needs to be a certain number, and you know that the action has to be this, and then try to fill in the blanks. And honestly, write it down on paper like it's a flow chart. Write down the steps like this happens, then this happens, and this happens, and this happens. Oh, what if it didn't work? Okay, let's go back and let's figure it out along the way. So I think this can be a very, very effective way to test your skills in Scratch, test your problem-solving skills. So I'm excited to see what you guys can do. Again, I am here. Don't feel like you need to struggle through this on your own. Communicate with me. Let me know where you're hitting walls so that I can help you. I believe that's everything I was going to show you. I will leave it at that. So keep in mind, I'm available specifically between 11 and 12. That's when I will be the most. That's when I'll be the most attentive of my emails. So that way, as you have a question, I can respond as quick as possible. Okay, you guys will do awesome. Have an awesome day, and take it easy.